Welcome to the beautiful city of Athens, the gateway to the Tennessee Valley, a city rooted in deep community relationships and built on a rich tradition of small local business and the very best of the human spirit. As Athens embraces the future, the signs of progress are in full bloom. Join us as we discover the bright spots in this charming southern city that we call home. This is Hometown Heartbeat, Athens. What's going on, everybody? Zach Walker here with Hometown Heartbeat, episode number, whatever it is, 60-something. We have a special guest. We'll introduce him here in a minute. But before we do that, let's, as usual and without fail, introduce our fearless producing team over here. Hold on a minute. I can't hear you. Go ahead. Go back.
Fearless.
Well, we got Connor over there without his light on again, and it's I don't even see it. Nope, too late now. And then you got Davis over there that looks like he's freezing. Hold on.
There we go. It'll do the job for now. There we go.
Okay, there they are.
You didn't like that.
Well, no, I did. I loved it. Look, without those guys, we wouldn't be here every day. They do a phenomenal job for us, and, man, we're so blessed to have them. So today I'd like to introduce to everyone our illustrious guest, my new friend, Cookie Madden, host of the Cooks 24 podcast.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about your podcast, man.
Well, my podcast is pretty much homegrown, original, trying to meet more people, regular people who are doing something creative in life, entrepreneurs, just building off the ground, nonprofit organizations. Okay. I don't want nothing from them. I just want to be able to help them get their information out.
So you need to have me on your podcast.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just invited myself to a podcast.
Yes.
I tend to do stuff like that, Cook. You'll learn pretty quick. So Cookie is a friend of Tyler's, who Tyler Jones been on the show. And called in the other day, was one of our illustrious phone calls, and he introduced Cook to me. Cook got a hold of me on Facebook and said, "Hey, man, I'd like to come out and see the setup. I'm an aspiring podcaster." Just to be clear, we're not very good at it, but he, a lot of equipment and advice, maybe whatever. Hopefully, we can give Cook some of what he's looking for. But what grew out of it was a conversation that we're excited to take on. In that we're going to talk about racism. We're going to talk about America today. We're going to talk about what it is like for black men and black women in America, and as white people, what our response to that should be. And it's going to be an unfiltered conversation. It's going to be, we've had zero conversation about this before. We are literally going to be working this out live on the air.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you get a little closer to that mic if you can.
All right.
I'm sharing this out on Facebook and I'm tagging you in it, Cook. So
okay.
Let's see, joins me today. So a little bit about you. Where are you from? You live in Decatur. Are you from there?
Live in Decatur. I'm originally from Trinity, Alabama.
Where's Trinity?
Trinity is probably maybe like right next door to the.
Oh, okay. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
Morgan, I went to West Morgan High School.
West Morgan, okay. Local guy. How old are you?
39. I'll be 40 in September.
40.
You know what I mean?
You don't look a day over 38.
Man, I keep hearing that, and I thank the universal spirit for giving me that young face, man.
The universal spirit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, I take my time with it because, of course, thank God, thank Jesus, you know what I mean? But I have a problem with so many different religions, and it's only supposed to be, from what I learned as a baby going on up, it's supposed to be one Almighty.
Okay.
So you go over here and you hear, okay, you got this kind of Christianity, this kind of, they worship to this, you got Allah, you got all type of names that they call it. So I just call it just the one universal spirit. If universal, that means women or men, animals, plants, anything can look up to this spirit for a higher power.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. You acknowledged Jesus Christ. You acknowledged God Almighty.
Yes, sir.
Can there be a universal spirit if there's only one God?
If it was, I would say it'd be Him.
Yeah. So I think what and a lot of people do this, and I'm not saying this is your motivation, but a lot of people have that universal spirit, or and what they're saying is they're saying God, but they're trying not to offend those who might not, believe in God or whatever. Right. And I would encourage you to not worry about that, to just dive in there and call it what it is, because to call Jehovah anything but Jehovah would be a treacherous path. I would probably try personally not to walk. But no, so you're from Trinity. Tyler's getting a good kick out of this over there. He's in the studio. If I had a camera, I'd put it on him. But they're all in use. Connor can spin that one over there. Good. So Cookie, you live in Decatur, and there's been a recent. It's not recent. It's actually from March, but it's just come out recently where, and I know the gentleman. In fact, I stopped by and talked to him the other day about the situation, but they're in Decatur. He is a liquor store owner.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my understanding is that he was being robbed, yes, sir, and the robber had a weapon. And so he is also a legally armed citizen. He's a black man. There was a white man in the store who was sitting in the corner. I don't know if you knew that. So one of his buddies was there. He's a customer, okay, white guy, okay, was sitting behind the counter. And he calls the cops. The cops come in. The robber, I guess, is no longer there. And the gentleman had his gun, but at that time had unarmed his weapon. From one angle, it looks as though a cop just comes out of nowhere and just hits him in the mouth, breaks his jaw, all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. From the body cam footage that I haven't seen it, but I heard that there's a little bit more to the situation than just that. But time is going to tell, right? And so we won't pass comment on that situation until we have all the facts, because due process is something afforded to all of us as Americans, and we don't want to usurp that. But I say all that to set up the fact that we are here in the South. We're right in amongst some of this. Now, thank God our cities aren't burning to the ground. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures of Minneapolis, but it looks like Iraq. Like, yes, it's awful. And I think Cook and I would both agree that the rioting, the looting, that's not a form of protest. That's anarchy.
I'm not with it.
So tell me, let's just dive into this. What, from your perspective, talk me through this Black Lives Matter movement. Talk me through maybe a situation where you feel like you were prejudiced or judged or pulled over for driving while black. That happens. I've seen it happen. So, talk me through, from your perspective as a black man in this country, what it's like.
For me, excuse me. For me, I can honestly say that me as being known as Cookie, I have not been the most militant. I've learned and listened to so many different people tell me more about black history or the things that the evil ones do. You know what I'm saying? Because I hate saying white people like that. The evil ones are the ones that's doing it. Because when you say one color or one brand, you're saying all of it.
You're being racist.
Right.
The very meaning of the word, right?
Right.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And for me, common sense is one of the biggest factors of my whole life. Sometimes I feel like common sense is the reason for me being here, because if you're not using your common sense, you got to understand the front, the middle, and the back.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the racism, it's like, for me, man, I wasn't raised like that. My big mama, my big daddy raised me to love all, and not trying to sugarcoat the idea, because I have had racist things happen to me before.
Sure.
Not as many as maybe some others have had, but I'll tell you one super quick story. When I worked at Logan's Roadhouse, I worked there for 11 to 12 years. There was one racist moment I had. I was going to the bathroom.
Okay.
Actually, I was going outside taking a smoke break. It was 5 guys from Lawrence County sitting at the top booth right next to the door. As I'm going outside, they make monkey noises at me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Ooh, ooh, ooh. So I'm sitting there wondering, I think I'm crazy. I know I didn't hear that.
Sure.
So I walk outside. 5 minutes later, come right back. They do the same thing again, but they laughing. Okay. So I go in the back. My homeboy Gabe, he's like my big brother. I said, hey man, this right here and this right here happened. I ain't trying to get nothing started. I'm just letting you know. He said, I'm watching. So I went to the manager. His name was Jeff. Real cool dude, white dude, real cool, laid back. He don't like to get dirty. He said, if something else happened, just let me know. Went to the bathroom. They all came in there, laughing and joking and playing. So when my homeboys came in there, they stopped. Made it outside. I told him, yes, they did it again. Jeff went to the phone.
Sure.
9-1. He looked at them and said, you're disrupting my
establishment. Right.
He didn't say, you bothering my black worker.
Sure.
He said, you disrupting my establishment.
My ability to make money. Right.
Basically, and make a long story short, he hit 9-1. He said, all it takes is one more number. They left.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
We didn't have to tear up the stove.
Sure. You didn't have to burn it to the ground and steal a MacBook while you were at it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, the guy that came out of there with those 3 TVs is like one for him and 2 to sell on on eBay. All for George Floyd, by the way. All for George Floyd. Here's my question for you as a black man. Let me ask you this. First of all, for those of you watching right now and you're seeing a white dude and a black dude sit down and talk about racism in a productive way, this is something that our country lacks, because you're being told for a reason from forces on both sides of an aisle that in order to work with the other is to work with an enemy, is to work with someone who you shouldn't want to work with. And the reason for that is because we've talked about on the show 100 times. If guys like Cook and guys like me can get on the same page, those in authority have a very real likelihood to lose their authority, because there's a reason why a country like a nation divided will fall, right? And so, all right, I'm just going to jump right into it. See, this is what I like about Cook. I mean, we're just going to call it like it is. George Floyd. Are you familiar with his history?
Honestly, no.
Okay, so there was a sexual assault and a violent assault of a woman during an home invasion, home robbery. He was inebriated at the time on drugs and was allegedly, purportedly known in the community as someone who was in the game a little bit. And for those of you that don't understand what I'm saying, there were drug connections potentially involved. He worked in a club for a very long time, a club that had some seedy, at best, seedy things going on, and that's where he and the officer Derek Chauvin might have met. We've talked about that. They've talked about that 100 times. So all that being said, how do you feel about the fact that I mean, this man has become a martyr, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, we all agree, you, me, and everybody else agreed when all this started, like, the man was killed. Yeah. It wasn't a justifiable use of force. It wasn't anything. It was wrong, and it was sad, and it was evil. But for him to become a martyr and for us to get away from some of the things that make, in my opinion, like, history to me is the greatest instructor of all. Because in order for us to prevent the things that have happened in the past from happening again is to make sure that we remember history. As a 40-year-old, almost 40-year-old guy, right? We're talking to young black men and women across the country. What does it say to them when George Floyd is made a martyr? Not that his death is punished, and that an oversight committee and a police reform task force and all those things, all those things need to happen regardless of his history, right? Okay. Regardless. We all have a past. I don't know if you do, but I certainly do. I got a little bit. And somebody told me I should run for office, and I said, if they find the door to my closet, my life will be over, right? Because I got a closet full of skeletons. But, like, what are we saying to young black and black men and women across the country that you could be made a martyr, a symbol of the great oppression, the great struggle, without having to even be a good upstanding citizen, right? Like, and I'm not saying, please don't take this the wrong way. Like, I'm not trying to take away from his death was wrong. The officer should and will be punished, and we have to look at police reform across the country. But to make George Floyd a martyr, it feels to me like it's an opportunistic political moment, and less about the truth of racism and more about the truth of voting. How do you feel? I mean, where you're, and I know that was a long, drawn out kind of a sort of question, but also a comment, but how does that hit you?
I understood everything you just said. And it's like, I was invited to help with voting registration.
I saw that.
And I felt like I did something because at least 10 people that was watching came, and I used myself as an example.
Sure.
I'm changing my registration. I'm serious about this now. I'm not going to be one of those people like you just said.
Sure.
That you got to vote to order to show.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
You can move that mic, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, you can move it with you as you go. No, you're fine.
Okay,
It's fine.
So, from what you just said, it's like the martyr part. It bothers me because we went through this before.
Mm-hmm.
We have been through all these movies before. Mm-hmm. It seems like everything we going through, we have seen it in a movie, a TV show,
documentary, something past. I mean, yeah.
We see this over and over, and it's like, I don't understand why common sense isn't used more often. Mm-hmm. Because this man, it seems like the people all over the world care more about this man than
the struggle itself.
The struggle itself.
Sure.
The mamas and the daughter and the nephew and the uncle, like, they the ones that need to be out talking.
That's fact.
Not us.
Well, but you know what that means, though, Cook. And I think you're right. You're hitting right to the heart of it, is that the reality of the situation is not like, look, I think we would solve 80% of the problems in the world if the national media was shut down for 90 days. I think if the media went away for 3 months, I think they would come back and they would have to either learn how to actually do journalism again, or they would cease to exist. Because guys like me and you, I tell people all the time, and if you've ever heard or watched this, you've heard me say this. Like, it's unfortunate that I have to be the best education on the internet, but I am, because it's a matter of common sense. Like, I'm not a smart man. I've never claimed to be, but I sure do have common sense, and I can chew bubble gum, pat my head, and walk in a straight line all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And what's happening, Cook, in my opinion, and again, at any point in time. Like, I don't know how much you've actually watched this podcast, but do not hesitate to jump in. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me your opinion. Like, at any point, I'm not a black man. I've said this from day one. I've grown up in the majority my whole life. Mm-hmm. Okay. I've been white since the day I was born. Can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. Never going to apologize for it, but I can't do anything about it. Right. I've never been pulled over for driving while black, but I have been judged by black people for being some dumb Trump supporter simply because I'm a white conservative male, right? And so prejudice happens both ways. Now, no one's going to arrest me and kill me while I'm in handcuffs for being a Trump supporter. So obviously, as white people, as white Americans, we have to seek to listen and understand, because I will never know how it feels for you to get pulled over by a cop. I can only imagine having all of these examples out there, mm-hmm. viral videos, if you will, of things gone wrong, and black men losing their lives, mm-hmm. Either justly or unjustly, but either way, I don't know what that feels like. But what's happening is, and we just talked about it before we went on air, the one thing we did have a chance to talk about, right before we hopped on, I said, Cook, what are we going to talk about, buddy? And he was like, man, I don't know. And I was like, what about racism? He was like, let's do it. And we got to talking about the concept of slavery as it exists today. And this is a very unpopular topic, but very, very true topic, something I feel like you can speak to as an educated black man, and I can speak to as someone who, tries my hardest to understand race and people in America. What's happened is an entire generation of black men and women, mm-hmm. or minority, let's just say minority, because it's not just black, but minority men and women have been convinced that without the government, they are incapable of making it. They need the government's help to get in college. They need the government's help to feed their babies. They need the government's help to whatever it is. Why do they do that? Because they want that vote in that ballot box come November. Mm-hmm. And if you drill down to the core of racism across the country, yes, does racism exist? Absolutely. Cook can answer that for us. He's experienced it, okay? Nobody is saying racism doesn't exist. But statistically, white men are killed by the police more than black men. So there isn't some systematic hunting squadron of cops running around just killing black people, right? there are white people killed. Did you see that? Did you see the cook? Did you see the pest control kid gunned down in the hallway?
Yeah.
That didn't seem to be a big deal. And so again, like I think the conversation got twisted and has turned into a political conversation rather than a Reformation conversation. Mm-hmm. And even pastors and local people and like they're all jumping on this train and they're patronizing the black community. That is all it is. It's they're patronizing blacks by look, Roger Goodell. Hey, Roger.
Can you hear us?
You're patronizing black people. Patronizing. Do you know what that means, Roger? I know with your big salary, you probably had a fancy education. Shoot, you got to be smart to be able to keep 501c3 status for the NFL. So all it is it's a game of patronization, right? So how does that? I mean, because look, Republicans try to patronize white people all the time, right? They just think we're stupid or they think whatever, and so we get patronized in a very different way. Okay. But how does that feel to be told or belittled to see your brothers and sisters of color that are truly convinced that they cannot make it on their own without a leg up and help from the government?
Those are the ones who have already given up. Them the ones to me that you best way I can put it, like off the top of my head, man, you know what I'm saying? If you don't get out there and get it yourself, mm-hmm. you have to get it out there and get it yourself. Mm-hmm. You cannot let the government, if you ain't tied into the government, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't government property.
Well, that's a big point. We're going to come back to that. Keep going.
Okay, if you ain't government or state property, you ought to be able to, with the right research, the right team, the right drive, the right ethic, and most of all, the right money, financially, to know where you want it to go, create your own business, create your own team, make sure that everybody's on point. Prime example, COC in the kitchen in Moulton. They started out with 1, 2, 3, then they came together, and now they're helping the whole city of Lawrence County, whole county of Morning County, simply from 2 people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If you
what's the name of that?
COC the Kitchen.
COC the Kitchen
in Moulton.
Connor, pull that up if you can. COC the Kitchen in Moulton. Okay.
Yes. LaShondra Craig and Marcus J. Eccles. They're the ones that run.
We need to get them on here.
And they will definitely.
You know them?
Yes, I know
Okay,
them
good. Let's set something up.
Matter of fact, I did a podcast with her middle of 2019 about all her projects.
Cool. Let's set up something. I'd like to talk to them. I'd like to understand that and see how we can help out. Okay. But you said something there that was super important. You said you went like this. This is a universal sign for bondage, for slavery, okay? Because your hands are tied. You have no authority. You have no ability to speak for yourself, act for yourself. What were slaves? They were property. They were property. And the reason they were property was because as property, if you come and take this laptop from me, you just stole from me, okay? Now, I can sell it to you. But this laptop cannot think for itself. It can't do anything for itself. Property is the lowest form of life force or being, right? It's owned by, possessed by, controlled by something. The government seeks to enslave young minority men and women across the country for votes. Right? And isn't that what it's all about at the end of the day, right? And let me explain something for those of you that don't understand. And Cook, you probably get this, but in case you don't pay attention, it is all about power. Power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. There is no fail. It doesn't fail across the board. Power will corrupt people. I don't know of any example outside of Jesus Christ who has authority, who doesn't. Even myself, like the little authority that I get in my life, it allows me in my mind to go from here to here, right? And say, ooh, well, I've got the ability to do this. I mean, I can do this I'm unchecked. There's no accountability in it. I've got the power. Money, same way. Money and power is exactly, they go hand in hand, right? And what it is people all across the leadership of this country, they want power.
Okay.
You give them their power because they need the majority of you. And yes, I just said you, referring to an African-American man, and he didn't get offended. Did you see that? Did you see how that went down? Everybody watch. Everybody watch. You, meaning black people, represent what percentage of Democratic votes across the country? Huge percentage. Huge. Do you believe that the Democratic Party and their policies truly are what's best for you Cook Madden, an entrepreneur, a capitalist, and a man who has some dreams, want to be a businessman, do you truly believe that the Democratic Party has those beliefs, has those things as priority for you? And that's a tough question, and I get that, and I'm putting you on the spot, and I also get that, and I'm not trying to, but I've got a point.
As a country boy coming from Trinity, Alabama, I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel.
Okay.
First, and this honestly, everybody, please listen.
I put him on the spot. Tyler's grinning.
I don't know the first difference or thing between a Democratic and a Republican.
Okay.
I'm the type of dude that if you saying and showing what you say you gonna do, then I fool with you.
Okay.
If all these big words and big sentences, and then you got 50 folks with suits on saying he ain't doing right, you got 60 folks with they ain't doing right, then the people in the crowd, they saying, well, what about and this and that, and you must be crazy, and all these people think that this one, it don't make sense.
Cookie, I'm gonna call you out right now. I'm gonna put you on the spot, okay?
Okay.
I apologize in advance if I offend you, but I don't apologize because you need to hear this.
Okay.
You're too smart, and people like you too much, and you have too big of a platform to not be educated on those issues. You are, I mean, when you said, let's go register to vote, let's get out the vote, you need to know what you're talking about because young black men and women will listen to what you have to say. And Cookie, I know I love black people. I used to want to be black. That's no lie. I mean, you ask my little sister. She'll tell you all about it, man. Like I was that guy, right? And look, I've still got a pretty Hardy Jordan collection, okay? And so like I still love African-American culture. I love R&B culture. I love hip-hop is one of the most pure, hip-hop and R&B is where music really got a lot of it. I mean, people don't understand now. There's a lot of hip hop and R&B artists that have completely missed the mark and are not even real music. But I saw your podcast the other day talking about some albums that went back and back and back, and so real good music. And so look, I love all that. But Cookie, man, people listen to you. Like you are. I mean. Tyler told me about Cookie Madden the first. I mean, when I went over to when the thing was going on, when they had the protest, he was like, "Man, you got to meet Cook. Cook's been with me for a while. He's a good dude, man. He's a black dude. He gets it. Like he gets it. He wants to have the conversations. And Tyler and I obviously we're white dudes that want to have the conversation because guess what? We love people. Right. We love people. We don't love white people. We don't love black people. We love people. And so Cookie, you've got to get involved, man. Because for you to not, you're just wasting your platform, and I mean that in the kindest way possible. Like I had someone tell me because look, I hate politics. I just want to be real clear.
I do too.
I can't stand it. But when I started this 61 episodes ago, we landed there for a reason. The common sense that you talk about, people don't have. That's my politics. It's common sense. I'm a capitalist. I own a business. Okay, so when I look at economic policy. I don't look at the big fancy words and the suits. I can't stand a suit. I throw all mine out. I don't even. I used to live in that world. Okay. I look at it from a common sense perspective. And I say, wait a minute. More taxes equals less money in my pocket, but more opportunity for the government to have money. Well, the government always does the right thing with money, so let's give them more of it. Psych, right? Like they can't manage their money worth of dirt. So common sense says, okay, well, let's let the free market choose. When it comes to abortion, when it comes to all these other things, like what guides my politics is the Bible. Like the only thing I'm accountable to, Jesus. And so it doesn't have to be like, and I think this is the problem. And I think we've just been unearthing, like we're peeling an onion back. And honestly, for everyone watching and listening, this is the first time Cookie and I have ever had a conversation outside of a handful of texts we've exchanged. So I'm being extremely forward and thankful that he's being gracious and kind with his responses. But this is huge, people. Like this ought to be, there's somewhere, some university ought to be dissecting this and saying, okay, people, this is how black people and white people talk to one another and don't fight each other. Like, because it is possible. Like, it is possible. You don't have to be a racist prick, white people, okay? And black people, we're not all racist, okay? And so, like, here's the issue. I think that the Democratic Party, let me back up. Let me back up. Can we, hey, scrub that from the record, Connor. I didn't mean to say that. I mean, I did mean to say that, but it's not just a Democratic problem. That's like saying the Church of Christ are the only people with issues. I'm kidding, Church of Christ. Joking. Totally kidding. Look, the Republicans in... Let me back up. Politicians in general don't want an educated base because then there's accountability. If you knew what sleepy Joe Biden and orange-haired Donald Trump truly were all about, not what you've heard they're all about, because the media would have you believe that Donald Trump is a racist. He's not. There's accounts of black men and women from his last 25, 30 years in business that will tell you he's one of the most gracious bosses that they've ever had, one of the most generous people that they've ever had. There's absolutely no evidence of Donald Trump himself being racist. Now, some of the things he does and say kind of, yeah, like I wish, just stay off Twitter, bro. Just stay off Twitter, bro. You're an idiot. Stay off Twitter. But at the same time, you said a man that does and says what he does and says and then follows it up, you mess with him. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump has done what he said he was going to do. Now, whether you liked what he said he was going to do or not, now that's a conversation to be had. Right. And don't miss this. And Cook, I need you to know this. I'm not a Donald Trump guy. If you've ever seen this show, like I think Donald Trump is an idiot, but he's done a pretty good job as a president. Okay, and so I would just say that, like, in the same way that I had to get out of my comfort zone and learn how to talk about politics, like you have to do that, Cookie, or you're going to waste your platform because you have the opportunity to influence. Conversations like this, we have an opportunity to be the light, bro. Like we can be the example set forth for black men and women and white men and women across the country to start the conversation of, like, racism is real. Yeah. Racism is wrong. Yeah. This is how we fix it.
Right.
Without you and I talk, look, hey, white people, putting up a black Instagram profile picture does absolutely nothing but patronize black people. Just to be clear.
Just listen to him.
Just to be clear. And I'm so thankful you're here, Cookie, because I say this and I'll get an email from some white dude. Hey man, you just don't understand the struggle. And I'm like, and you do? And you do? Like, mommy and daddy make $250,000 a year and you live in the suburbs, bro. Like, I actually, you don't know my background, but like I was in the game. I acted like an idiot and I got kicked out of my house because as an idiot, you ought to get kicked out of your house. Like my daddy said, hey, you're going to do this, this, and this, or you're not going to live here and I'm not going to pay those bills and I'm not going to do that. And I said, all right, cool, man. And I went and did what I wanted. I'll never forget where I was at. I was in college. I think I was a freshman or sophomore. And like, I'm walking, I can tell you exactly where I'm at. Nobody else would know, but I was right there by the gym, the Benson Auditorium rather, and like in between roads and bring, hello. So, son, you think you can just do what you want, huh? I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about, Dad. How's your day? Like, you want to go play golf when I come home? Son, you're going to need to find another place to live. And your cell phone bill, by the way, it's due on the 1st. Your car insurance is $127, and it's due on the 15th. Good luck. I love you. We'll always be here. But you think you can do this on your own, go do it. And so from that point forward, like, I lived in places that most sheltered white people would not probably want to go. And I had to do things to make ends meet, maybe, that I wouldn't have wanted to do otherwise. Yeah. And thank God he rescued me from myself 6 years ago. But it's not been that long ago that I was dang near homeless, okay? And so, like, I want you to hear me, like, from when I talk about this, I'm talking about it not from a place of a black man because I've never been black. We've addressed that. I think it's pretty obvious. Thank you for those of you that have extended me, like, the honorable black card. Like, I appreciate it. I value it. It stays above my American Express in my wallet right here all the time. Greatly appreciate it, but I'm not black, okay? And I know it's a huge shocker to those of you that are only listening to the podcast and have never actually seen the video, but I am white. And so white people, listen.
He cool though. He's cool though.
He cool though. He cool though. Did I get that?
He cool though. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
He is cool.
He's very cool though.
He is cool.
Okay. Isn't that funny Hey, well, he talk hood. I'm like, what?
No, you don't talk hood.
What is it? What is talking hood? Is that a language? Did I miss that in school? We'd like to register for classes in the fall semester of 2021. You can take Spanish 1, 2, 3, or 4, Hood 1, or Italian. Like, I mean, what are we? Anyways, this world that we're living in is broken. Okay, Jesus told us it would be. By the way, don't miss that. Right. For those of you out there that are trying to figure out how a white dude and a black dude could sit down and have a conversation like grown men, Jesus. Also, there's only one race, human race. Wow. There's ethnicity. Your ethnicity is different than mine. Do you know why? Can you point to where you got your ethnicity from? Because I can tell you if you want to know.
Go ahead, tell.
So in the Bible, God literally created one race, the human race. Okay, and at one point in the Bible, all the people were stacking up on top of one another, and God had told them to go. They didn't listen. They want to stay right there where it was comfortable. So he said, started throwing them in different corners of the globe, right? Well, when he put those on the continent of Africa, or any of the other many continents where melanin, which is what makes your skin different than mine, where you need more of it, God was gracious to give those people what they needed to succeed in the climate in which they were put in. The only reason you're black and I'm white is because God knew that somewhere way down your ancestral line, they would need that melanin as protection from the sun.
Protection from the sun.
So for all of you out there touting racism, it doesn't exist. There's one race. It's the human race. All there is hate. There's love and there's hate. Racism is something that we've made up. We've created it. Now, white people, it's your fault. Let me be real clear. It is your fault. But Cookie, I just don't understand where a generation of black men and women. Black men are very outspoken. Young black men, they're getting a voice. Guys like Colin Kaepernick, which, by the way, can I address that?
Go ahead. I'm with you.
Colin Kaepernick taking a knee during the national anthem. I couldn't stand it. Okay. Now, that being said, I was very outspoken about I support his right to do that. I'm a veteran, right? So when I signed up to protect this country, I signed up to protect your right to burn a flag. If you want to burn a flag, burn it. Now, if I see you doing it, I'm going to try to knock you out before you do it because that flag means a whole lot to me. Yeah. But you have a right to do that because you're an American. And Colin Kaepernick had a right to take a knee whenever he wanted. If he wanted to take a knee while he was taking a dump, I don't care what he does. Like, he has the right to do that. The NFL also had that right to say, hey, buddy, you can't do that. They have that right. Like, if you come to work, you work for Tyler, right? So if Tyler tells you don't wear that hat to work, your hat says Negro Leagues. Okay, so let's just hypothetical here. Let's say Tyler looks at your hat and says, don't wear that Negro hat in my establishment while you're working anymore. What happens if you show up with that hat tomorrow?
He probably going to send my butt home.
Yeah, why? Because you're black or because you wore a hat?
Because I wore a hat that he told me not to wear.
Bingo. And so I want that hat. Look at him. He wants that hat. No, look, if you've never been down to River Shawn in Dallas, or there's a place, what's the big the stadium in Birmingham? We played a tournament at it, but it's Jackie Robinson played there. I mean, it's an old Negro League stadium. And, Rickwood Field. Man, it's unbelievable. The history of black men pioneering in sports is the Negro Leagues of baseball is one of my favorite segments of time. Now, the reason it needed to be segregated, obviously, we're not proud of, but what they did with what they had. So anyways, back to the Kaepernick thing and all of that. Like, what he misunderstood was him taking a knee did nothing to show us about police brutality. Like, I think he missed the mark. And this is my fear. Young black men, women, or minority men and women, freaking white men and women, because they're all jumping in on the struggle, right? Trying to tell you that they know what you're going through. Like, hey, bro, hey, you white. You don't know what we're going through, right? I don't ever claim that. I seek to understand you. I want to know what it's like. Yeah. But I'm never going to know.
Yeah.
Unless I put some blackface on like Ralph Northam up in Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, Ralph. Didn't mean to do that, buddy. You should stop being a commie governor, and maybe I'll take it easy on you.
I don't know much about Ralph, but you need to quit what you're doing.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is like these young minorities have been told for so long that the world's against them, that they need help, that they can't do it on their own, right? And that if they get ahead, it was because white people must have let them or whatever. Like, how does that translate for the next generation? Because really, me and you, we could sit here all day and we could talk about what happened. We could talk about the past. We could talk about reparations. We could talk about slavery. We could talk about all those things. But we could talk about the Holocaust. We could talk about World War II. We could talk about history. Or we could sit here and we could figure out, man, I'm 33, you're 39. Like, we are thought leaders. We're lights in our community. We try to be anyways. I mean, I'm not saying either of us is perfect. I've sure made my mistake or two today. But how do we move forward rather than look backwards? Because the media is against us, both of us. They want us to stay separate. They don't want us getting along.
They want us up here arguing.
That's right. Fighting, just burning cities down.
Yeah.
That's right. In fact, they'll send white people in to light fires in buildings and blame it on black people. By the way, hey, you didn't get away with anything up there, white folks. We saw you. There's a video. Video cameras are a heck of a thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I wish there had been a video in Tulsa when Black Wall Street was burned to the ground and some 600 African Americans were murdered by racist white people. I wish there'd have been a video camera then. I wish Black history didn't have to reflect the pain, the hurt, and the what's the right word, evil that it does. But it does, Cook. Mm-hmm. You can't change it. And guess what? I never had a slave. We were poor, bro. We were dirt broke. We picked cotton. My ancestry, we picked cotton with black people, by the way, because we were broke. And so how do we move forward, man? Because that's really the key. So how do we, looking at the past, and let's look to the 20-year-olds, okay? Let's focus on that segment of the group, okay? 18 to 22. Okay. These people that are 5, 6, 7 years away from being senators and being, Ralph Northam, governor, communist governors and whatever else. Like, how do we get to them and we say, listen, the media is biased. They're not telling you the truth. Donald Trump, for all his warts, isn't really a racist, I promise. Mm-hmm. And Joe Biden, no matter what they tell you, really did rape someone, no matter what they tell you. But you won't hear those things because it doesn't fit in. How do we break through that?
By everyone getting the information themselves.
Whoa, holy mackerel. Did you hear that? I want Cookie, I want you to say it again, nice and slow and with your nice, deep, telephone operator voice.
Say the question again so I can do it.
You said that everybody needed to get the information for themselves.
And the reason why I say that is because it's easy. Like, okay, you and Ty boys, you said, Ty, I got a problem. It's about 3, 4, 5 of them out here. I need your help. Sure, buddy. I come on. Here I come. Okay. He ain't asked what happened or what went wrong. Mm-hmm. Just coming to help because you my boy.
Yep.
Okay. Spread that out. This black man got killed. How he got killed. So that means that all 40, 59 states, even the people in Hawaii, got to get mad and protest. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
If it happened to me, I wonder. I know my cousins and family gonna be there.
I'm gonna be there, Cook.
And you,
I got you, man.
But it's the people in North Dakota and Maine.
Those rednecks in Montana.
Is they gon', you know what I mean? And I ain't trying to downplay nothing, but if every single person would do the information, because what I'm trying to understand is this: you burn down McDonald's. You burn down Burger King. Mm-hmm. You burn down the hotels. You burn down the video store. Mm-hmm. You burn down the convenience store that we go to every day to get our cigarettes and cigars and stuff like that and drinks and knee-high. We go, this light bread. We need toilet paper.
That's
we
right.
need dishwasher.
That's right.
Okay, we wake up the next morning. Guess what? It's all burned down.
She to the ground.
Now we got to go to Huntsville, but they don't want us over there. We got to go to Florence. They ain't go. Well, and for the people in the other states. Why burn down and tear up because of what somebody said, and then now one of y'all get the information? Didn't now one? We carnivores is over with now. Mm-hmm. Protest. Let's go out here. Soon as you get through protesting and getting hit with rubber bullets and all this and all that, now guess what? Carnivores is going back up. We might have to sit back in the house for another year. Mm-hmm. I mean, common sense.
Here's the deal, bro. Like, you said it straight up. You said it. You said why would we burn down our corner store? And you look at and I want to end here because we've been going for about an hour, and that's fine. Like we'll do this again. Maybe we need to do this once every couple of weeks or once a month. Have you on when we get on the radio? We'll definitely if you want to wake up that early, you could definitely join us on the radio.
I'd love to.
But like, first of all, for those of you burning down your cities and your blocks, like the only people that hurts, honestly, is black people. Like the minority communities are hurt way worse than the white communities, right? Because let me tell you something. Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, Walmart, 7-Eleven, all that, like they got big insurance policies. They don't give a rip. They're publicly traded companies. They've got stock market caps that allow them some. Anyway, there's a lot of reasons why those at the top, whether they're white or black, but most are white, right? Which is something else we really need to address if we want to. But anyways, it's another topic for another day. But like, they're not hurting for right now. Like, they're not. They just, in fact, their overhead went down. Like, they don't have to pay those 50 people that work at Target anymore.
I want you to throw this in too. I feel like I'm the only person that's ever thought about this in the last 3 months. Let's not forget about the homeless folks, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Because out of all this black and white, Korean, Mexican,
their homes are burning down.
Ain't nobody thinking about the homeless.
That's a beautiful transition, because here's where I wanted to end. I believe Black Lives Matter. I've got no problem saying that, okay? All lives also matter. But all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. Okay. Cookie, do you believe that? Do Black lives matter? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Do all Black lives matter?
Yes.
He said that with some hesitation.
Reason why I said that was hesitation, because I know my life matters.
Right.
My life matters.
Well, let me tell you something. Jesus, you matter immensely to him. He literally knows every single beard hair on your face. He put it there on purpose. Okay? So I say all that to say this. If that's the case, why do we not attack black on black? Chicago, we covered this story the other day. In a period of 24 hours, there were 18 homicides, black on black. 18 black men and women died at the hands of black people, but those lives don't matter.
You know why?
Why? No
common sense.
Well, and I'm going to take it a step further, and this is where I'm going to take you under my wing, and I'm going to train you up, okay? Yes, common sense will get you there, but you know why it doesn't matter? Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Right.
Life is not about the truth. Life is not about it's about what they want us to think it's about. Mm-hmm. The only thing that matters is what they want us to think.
I got you.
They want you to believe all white people are out to get you, because then you're going to buy into the fact that Trump's a racist prick, right? You're never going to vote for him, by God. He's the reason the coronavirus happened, right? I mean, shoot, he might as well have been in the lab in China, as far as you could tell from the media. He literally killed George Floyd himself with his own two hands. If you believe the media, he literally choked the dude out. That wasn't Derek Chauvin. That was Donald Trump, okay? Mm-hmm. And also, it's not coronavirus, but it's Donald Trump is the reason why the economy's in the toilet. Okay, not all the governors that shut all the cities down and wouldn't open them back up. I'm Democrat, by the way, and so, like, black people, in the same way that I've called out white people today, allow me to call you out, black people, and I feel 100% like your brother right now. Not that I understand your plight, not that I've lived a day walking in your shoes, but if I'm to pass Cookie's test, I know I got common sense. So that should qualify me to speak, okay? So, Cookie, you tell me if I missed the mark here. But black people, listen, hey, black people, you have to put all black lives on the same level playing field for your movement to have any validity to it whatsoever. Otherwise, you are a political action committee raising money for the Democratic Party, which, by the way, do you know where the Black Lives Matters organization, you know where their money goes? White Democrats. But again, like, black people, listen. The cop that died at the hands of black men in St. Louis, the retired police captain with 28 years, that man, his life mattered as much as George Floyd's. And he had made 28 years worth of an impact on a community. He hadn't assaulted a woman. He wasn't on drugs. He was an upstanding black citizen that was killed by black people in the name of George Floyd, Or at least that's what they want you to think, right? Like this dude in Atlanta that got gunned down, right? Like, you know that story at all?
I've heard bits and pieces.
So let me break it down for you. Basically, he passed out in a drive-thru at Wendy's, okay?
Okay.
0.108 blood alcohol. That's almost double.
Okay.
Okay? So he's hammered. Like, I'm talking about ham bone.
Ham bone.
Yeah, like, I mean, he...
Football.
Yeah, bingo. Yeah, no, he gone. And so he passes out. Wendy's calls, says, hey, man, we got this dude in here blocking the drive-thru. Cops show up. They wake him up. He gets out. By the way, he was on parole. Like, he was in prison for 8 years and was let out on parole for the coronavirus. Okay? So the reason that he then resisted arrest and did not comply with officers was because he's going back to jail.
Oh.
Okay? Right? So that not a part of the story that anybody wants to talk about. Then he grabs a police officer's weapon and attempts to shoot them with their own taser and got shot by the police. What say you to that, Cook?
My mama named Evelina, right? And she told me,
that's a good name.
If the police come up and they tell you to do this and do that, just do it. Because the minute that you show resistance, they can grab on you and touch on you. Do what they ask you to do so you can go on. Comply.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to a situation like what you just gave me, it's back to that. It's just back to that common sense level.
Man, it's amazing. Common sense might as well be a superpower.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, because
it doesn't exist.
Common sense is like earlier when we was talking. You said this, and then you said that, and then you said this, and that was pretty much it. That gave me the focus. Ain't nobody finna be messing around me because I watch after me and mine. That's what I took from it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somebody else might have took it a different way.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely taken, trust me, you should see the emails I get. It's definitely taken all kinds of ways. But look, here's the deal. Like, the reality is this. Cookie just made the great point. And there's a civil rights leader, and I forgot where he was at, I think Arizona, and he was super, super vocal about defunding the police and, you know, and this, that, and the other. And so the police officers invited him to come and do some of their force escalation training, okay? And they videoed this thing. And so they put a belt on him with a gun. The gun has, like, the paint bullets in it. And then they do simulations, right? And they simulate different environments in which he may or may not have to... He's trying to get people to comply. The first situation, he got killed. He got shot, right, in the simulation, right? So he's dead. He's dead. The second simulation, he pulls his gun and shoots the man in just a matter of moments as the man rushes at him. In the first situation, the man was armed and he should have used force. In the second situation, the man was not armed and he should not have used force. And when it was all said and done, they asked him this. They said, "What can you take away from all this?" And he said, "I will tell you the greatest thing is that in a matter of 10 to 15 seconds, these things completely go from start to finish." And so for your sake and for the police's sake, the only thing that matters is compliance. Because look, if you're not violating the law, the worst they're going to do, look, let them book you into jail. Look, Cookie, and just, I want to be on record here. If you ever get arrested for driving while black and they take you to jail and they put you in jail and you've done nothing wrong, you've committed no crime, call me. I got a real good attorney, and we'll own the police department. Okay? Because that's how the justice system works, right? If you're wrongly imprisoned, or go ahead, say it.
Let me put this in there.
Say it.
Tyler probably gonna laugh. I'm doing my best to stay out of trouble and out of their eyes.
Yeah, no, you should. But I'm just saying, I just want you to understand the way the justice system works. Like, if you are wrongly imprisoned or wrongly assaulted by the cops, there are civil. Like, you have a recourse through civil action to be recompensed for your being wronged, right? Like, so comply. Look, if you ain't got a dime bag in the car, who cares? Right? Like, who cares? Search my car. Yep, search it. What are you going to find? Like, you got a Playboy under the back seat. They can't arrest you for that. Your wife might get mad at you, but they're not going to arrest you for it. Comply. The only thing that happens when we resist is you get shot.
Yeah.
And then you're a martyr. And Minneapolis looks like Fallujah.
Man, it looked like
Black Hawk Down, bro.
It looked like I Am Legend. That's how I look on that.
Cookie, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Listen, guys, it is Tuesday. Be sure to check out the Cook Z24 podcast with your boy, Cookie Madden. As always, this has been Hometown Heartbeat, and we are super thankful that you joined us today. In the interim, we just, why can't we all just get along?
You know what I'm saying? Just bankhead with it.
You like this jam, though?
Yeah, I like this. Hey, I'm going to love some jazz now.
All right, guys, listen, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I think we got Ronald joining us again, I don't remember. Cookie, my man, dap it up. Look, hey, did you see that right there? Ebony and Ivory. Anyways, get out of here. Connor, take it away. Thanks, fellas.
Social distance. Hey, man, fun, man.